After months of negotiation, the tariffs originally intended to be the first items discussed were finally settled in the last round of talks. The reciprocal tariffs on Taiwanese goods exported to the U.S. have been reduced from 20% to 15%, finally allowing Taiwanese exporters to compete on a level playing field with their Japanese and South Korean rivals. However, this admission fee comes with a steep price tag. The Taiwanese government and the semiconductor industry, led by TSMC, have committed a total of $500 billion to the United States, comprising $250 billion in direct investments and $250 billion in financing and credit guarantees. The U.S. strategic objective is clear: to physically relocate 40% of Taiwan's chip production capacity and supply chain to American soil, ensuring the absolute security of AI and national security supply chains. Who truly profits from this outcome? In the short term, it provides a lifeline to struggling traditional industries. The 15% tariff rate, by eliminating the pressure of stacked duties, gives manufacturers of screws, fasteners, and machine tools a chance to reclaim orders and end their export winter. In the medium term, U.S. tech giants are the biggest winners. Companies like NVIDIA, Apple, and AMD will soon be able to source duty-free high-end chips directly from Arizona, drastically lowering the cost of AI computing power. In the long term, however, Taiwan faces a structural crisis. Although TSMC is keeping its 1.4 nanometers process rooted in Taiwan to maintain technical leadership, the relocation of 40% of production capacity and the subsequent brain drain are forcing the traditional silicon shield to transform into a state of institutional symbiosis. Furthermore, two major political variables loom over this massive agreement. In the U.S., the Supreme Court is reviewing the legality of President Trump's use of the International Emergency Economic Powers Act to impose tariffs. If the justices rule that the president exceeded his authority, the 15% tariff framework could collapse. However, the White House has prepared Section 232 as a legal fallback. As long as Taiwanese firms build plants in the U.S., they remain eligible for exemptions. In Taiwan, the opposition has slammed the government for word games, accusing the executive yuan of signing a memorandum of understanding instead of a formal treaty to evade parliamentary oversight and force through a black box deal involving NT $16 trillion. Ultimately, rather than a successful negotiation, this appears to be a unilateral crushing by the United States. The U.S. has seized control of the semiconductor supply chain while still pocketing a 15% tariff. Taiwan, meanwhile, has essentially provided a massive dowry to find a new home for its industry. As our pride, the silicon shield, begins to crumble, and the next frontier industry remains nowhere in sight, one must ask, how much strategic value does Taiwan have left? For Taiwan, the results of these negotiations are hardly a cause for celebration.